There he was, Marcus, older, thinner, wearing a staff badge. What? What are you doing here? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He smiled like a snake who hadn't eaten in years. Funny, I was going to ask you the same thing. She got off the elevator before the door closed. Tasha learned that Marcus had been hired as a security guard through a staffing agency contracted with multiple transitional housing programs. He'd falsified parts of his record. She reported him immediately, but the agency dragged its feet. There's no legal proof of his past abuse, they say. Only police report, no conviction. Tasha was furious and terrified, but she was no longer a woman who ran. Instead, she dug deeper. Through her nonprofit board and contacts, she connected with an investigative journalist. And together, they uncovered the loopholes in state background checks that allow people with violent histories to work in vulnerable spaces. Tasha wrote an article called "The Abuser and the Shelter: How the System Failed Survivors Twice." The article went viral. 3 weeks later, Marcus was terminated and blacklisted. Tasha received an official apology, but she wasn't done. Tasha proposed a new initiative, Century Circle, a system that would cross-reference restraining orders, police record, and employment applications for high-risk roles, particularly in shelters, clinics, and youth centers. The governor's office took notice. Within a year, Century Circle passed as a pilot program in her county. By year 2, it was adopted statewide. Tasha nonprofit Unlocked partnered with healthcare institutions to provide career training, scholarship, childcare, and transitional housing for women and men fleeing abuse. What about Tasha's love lives? Well, Tasha didn't believe in women's movies anymore. Not the ones where love fixed everything, not after everything she'd been through. But the healing had a rhythm. First came survival, then stability, then softness. It began with Malik. He was a veteran turned therapist who ran a trauma recovery program that often partnered with her nonprofit. Their paths crossed when they co-hosted a support seminar for domestic abuse survivors and their children. He was quiet, calm, and carried his own scars like stories, not shame. They started off as colleagues, then as co-parents on community projects, but it was during a winter night after a fundraiser that he gently said, "You fight so hard for everyone else, Tasha. When is the last time someone fought for you?" Tasha and Malik were in love, not the lightning kind, the growing kind. Amaya called him coach. Jaden looked up to him. They took weekend trips, ate Sunday dinners, dreamed together. Malik never rushed her, never raised his voice. He made her feel safe without feeling small. Then on a cold autumn morning, The past came knocking, literally. A brake crashed through the front window of their nonprofit office. Tasha dropped to the floor instinctively, her body remembering trauma like an old script. Scrawled on the brake in red marker, "You took everything from me. Now I'll take it back. Marcus." Tasha went back to the police, but again, no hard evidence. Restraining orders only work on people who follow rules. But Malik, he didn't wait for proof. He installed cameras, hired private security, and helped Tasha relocate the nonprofit sensitive materials. Still, Marcus was closing in. One night, he broke into the community center after hours, thinking Tasha was alone. What he didn't know was that Malik had already prepared for that. Marcus stepped into what looks like an empty lobby and triggered a silent lockdown protocol that secured all exit and alerted law enforcement. Within minutes, police stormed the center. Marcus was caught trying to escape through a vent shaft. In his bag, duct tape, zip tie, a kitchen knife. His plan had been clear. The courtroom was packed. Tasha sat in the front row, shoulder square, children behind her, Malik beside her. She testified clearly, strongly. When asked if she feared for her life, she paused. "No," she said. "I used to, but now I fear for the lives of women who don't get this far." Marcus was sentenced to 25 years, no parole. The courtroom had been packed with advocates, survivors, and supporters. Tasha stood tall, but deep down, she knew one truth no sentence could erase. He was still breathing. For months after the trial, she continued to glance over her shoulder, check doors twice, triple lock her children's world. Malik understood. He never asked her to move on. He just walked with her in the aftermath. Even in his absence, Marcus haunted her. Until one morning, 2 years later, her phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Is this Mrs. Tasha Williams?" "Yes." "This is Deputy Reyes from Monroe State Penitentiary. We need to inform you Marcus Williams was involved in an altercation last night. He didn't survive." The deputy offered more detail. A fight, contraband, a fatal stab wound. They believe it was gang related, not targeted. But Tasha didn't hear the rest. Her mind buzzed, then went silent, like a radio shutting off. That night, Tasha sat alone on her back porch while Malik bathed the kids. The sky was bruised purple, dust hanging over her like a lullaby. She expected to feel relief, or joy, or some sense of triumph. Instead, she felt weightless, like something heavy had been tied to her spirit for years, and now it had simply let go. She didn't cry. She didn't smile either. She whispered only one word into the wind. Finally. Tasha's journey began in the shadows. A woman silenced, bruised, and buried beneath the weight of a love that tried to own her instead of honor her. Her home was a prison without bars, her dreams locked away by fear, and for years, survival was her only goal. But survival wasn't the end of her story, it was the beginning. Through pain, she found purpose. Through friendship, she found opportunity. Through courage, she found freedom. And through healing, she found love. Not the kind that demands or controls, but the kind that sees you, stays with you, and asks for nothing in return. Tasha didn't just escape, she rebuilt. She reached back for others still trapped. She turned her scars into seeds, and from them grew a movement, a mission, and a message. Marcus' death didn't bring her joy, it brought clarity. Her freedom was never tied to his downfall, it was rooted in her own rise. Evil may chase, haunt, and even wound, but it cannot win against a soul determined to heal. The lesson? You may be broken, but you are not beyond repair. You may be afraid, but you are not powerless. And you may be locked in, but there is always a key. Tasha found hers, and now she holds it out to others. Unlocked isn't just her story, it's a declaration to every woman who's ever whispered, I can't, through tears. You can, you will, and when you do, you open doors for generations to come. Thank you for watching. Want more True to Life stories? Like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Bye.